The story opens with a person running into the middle of a desolate road, thus causing a car to swerve and crash into a tree. The runner then approaches the car to look in on the crash victim, who is either dead or injured. We cut to a restaurant scene with a father, mother, and teenage girl ordering food. The daughter, Justine, is a strict vegetarian, yet she discovers some meat in her potatoes and is revulsed by it. The mother angrily confronts the kitchen staff, stressing that Justine cannot eat meat. The family then is in a car driving to drop their daughter off at a veterinary college. Justine's older sister, Alexia, also attends the school, yet she did not meet them when they arrived. Justine finds her dorm room and is resting when some chaos begins. Her roommate, Adrian, frantically busts in, brandishing a ski pole like a weapon. Surprised that he is male because she requested a girl, he replies that he is gay, and it's the same sort of deal. A group of hooded older students then crash into their room, and the ritual of freshman hazing begins. The newbies are herded into an elevator and forced to crawl on all fours to a party where other students engage in sensuous behavior waiting for them. Debauchery is rampant, and Justine is fearful and confused as she is thrown into her wild new world. She recognizes her sister in the crowd, and they embrace, as her sister tells her that they will be together all the time now. Alexia says she will be there to support Justine, and she will have the time of her life this first year. They enter a dark room full of pictures on the wall. Alexia shows Justine some old class photos of students bathed in blood, including one with their parents happily posing in a group photo from when they were students there. The next day, the rookies are shown how to anesthetize a horse during a class, and afterwards they are introduced to the elders, who pour blood over them, as is the tradition, and then tell the freshmen that they must obey all commands until they are worthy of being welcomed into the school. The first test is that they must eat a raw rabbit kidney. Justine at first refuses, claiming she can't due to her vegetarian diet. Her sister then intervenes, eats one herself, and forces her to eat the raw meat, stating that she must try to fit in and not chicken out. Justine is sickened and leaves with Adrian, who comforts her. Later that night, she feels itchy, and in the morning, she discovers a rash all over her body. She goes to the doctor, who tells her it is most likely food poisoning. The doctor gives her cream for the rash and sends her on her way. While walking down the corridor, an elder admonishes her for not wearing the dress code for the day, which is scantily clad nightclub attire. Justine visits her sister to borrow some clothes. She is upset because her sister did not stick up for her during the meat-eating ceremony, and this angers Alexia. The next day, Justine begins having sudden cravings for meat. She tries to hide it by stealing a piece of pork and then hiding it in her pocket. When she is caught, Adrian pays for it. That evening, Justine and Adrian take a bus trip to go out drinking, and they pass the car crash depicted at the beginning of the movie. Justine cannot help but look at the dead body as they go by. Later at a gas station, they order meat so Justine can satisfy her carnivorous cravings. Unsatisfied, she privately ravishes raw chicken in the middle of the night. Later, during a meeting with one of her teachers, Justine constantly chews on her hair. Over time, we see that she has actually eaten it and cannot stop throwing up long bundles of her own hair. Justine seeks out her sister to talk about what is happening to her, and they bond over drinks. Justine asks to sleep over and discovers the same rash cream in her sister's medicine cabinet. Later that night, Alexia attempts to give Justine a body wax, but when Alexia tries to cut the wax off with sharp scissors, Justine kicks her away, and Alexia accidentally wounds her whole finger. Alexia passes out as Justine calls emergency services, who say they cannot arrive for another 15 minutes and to put the finger on ice. With no ice available, Justine holds her sister's finger, tastes the blood, then cannot stop herself from slowly devouring the whole thing. Alexia awakens from her fainting spell and witnesses her sister chewing down the last piece of her finger. Their parents meet them at the hospital, where they learn no reattachment is possible because the finger is gone. Alexia cannot even have a prosthetic, which means she is permanently disabled. Alexia tells her parents that Quickie the dog ate her finger, though she knows it was really Justine who did. Outside, while sharing a smoke with her father, he explains that they will now have to put down the dog because once the dog has tasted human flesh, it cannot be controlled. The next morning, Alexia takes Justine to a deserted road. Justine suspects that they are there to catch a deer or other animal for Justine to feed upon, but Alexia leaps out from the grass and runs quickly in front of a passing car, causing the two people in the front seat to crash into a tree. Alexia opens the door and begins eating one of the passengers. Alexia tells Justine that she did it for her so she would learn how to get fresh meat. Instead, Justine is shocked at the reveal of her sister having the same affinity to consume human flesh as she does. Appalled by Alexia's carnivorous undertaking, not to mention causing the deaths of the car occupants, Justine walks home alone. At school, the gory animal dissection classes continue, and Justine starts lusting after her gay roommate, Adrian. She begins to accept her new gender identity while suppressing her cannibalistic desires. She catches Alexia playing video games with Adrian and gets possessive and jealous. That night, the torturous rites of passage continue as someone seemingly beats her with a chain while she is covered in sheets alone in her bed. Soon after, it is time for another rookie rite of passage test, so Justine gets dolled up and heads out. When she arrives at a party, she gets doused with blue paint and is forced to have fun with some guy painted in another color until their colors blend. While kissing, Justine bites his bottom lip, causing it to be missing a noticeable piece. This leaves him and the other party guests horror-struck at what she has done. Later, while washing off the paint in the shower, she discovers a chunk of the lip in her teeth and eats it with gratification. Justine goes to join Adrian on his bed. He questions her about what happened and if she is still okay to have some fun with him after the incident. She admits that she is, and they start to share fun moments together, during which time Justine tries to bite him, but he physically prevents this. Instead, Justine nibbles on her own arm and is calmed by feasting upon her wrist. Later in class, as Justine tries to make more of the relationship than just a one-night stand, Adrian gets angry at her and storms out of the room. Later, during another party, Justine drinks herself into oblivion and makes inappropriate flirtatious moves on the other bar guests. Alexia removes her from the crowd and takes her to the morgue. The next morning, a very hungover Justine attends a lecture at which other students stare in astonishment, with some even avoiding her. Adrian pulls her aside and shows her a video that was shared on his phone in which Alexia is taunting Justine with a corpse's arm at the morgue and urging Justine to bite it. Alexia then pulls the arm away as a very drunk Justine tries to grab it. In the background, a crowd of astonished students show disgust at Justine's inebriated carnivorous behavior while booing, but still watching with revulsion. Justine confronts Alexia about it, and the two commence fighting, both throwing hatreds and attacking each other until they are pulled apart by a group of horrified bystanders in the schoolyard. The next morning, a horn is blown, signifying the end of the hazing period, much to the students' relief. Justine awakens next to Adrian in bed and notices blood on her hands. She tries to wake Adrian up, but finds him dead, having been partially eaten with most of the lower part devoured. There is a stab wound to his spine caused by a ski pole found under the bed. Justine then sees an expressionless Alexia on the floor of the next room, her mouth and front covered in blood. Justine realizes that Alexia killed and cannibalized Adrian. She solemnly lifts Alexia to her feet and cleans her off in the shower, as we see remnants of Adrian mix in the water and flow down the drain. Sometime in the short future, we see that Alexia has been arrested and imprisoned for the murder of Adrian. Justine arrives home and she is now going back to eating only vegetables. At the table, Justine's father tells her that this whole thing is not her fault, nor is it her sister's, as Justine seems confused. He describes how he first came to be with their mother, how she resisted him at first, but after their first kiss, he indicates a scar on his upper lip, so he understood. He then unbuttons his shirt to expose his chest, revealing many old wounds with strips of flesh missing. It is obvious that the butchery on his body is due to the relations with his wife, Justine and Alexia's mother. To Justine's dismay, she realizes that the condition is hereditary and her mother is also a cannibal. Justine's father tells her in a consoling way that he is sure she will find a solution. What do you think about this movie? Would you dare to eat a raw rabbit kidney now? Let us know in the comments below.